there, and welcome to Time to Talk Traumatic Brain Injury, the podcast by survivors for the entire brain injury community, helping you live a more productive, healthy, and happy life. Nutrition is an important part of brain injury recovery because both the brain and body need proper nutrients in order to heal. The food we eat supplies us with energy and nutrients that our brain and body use to complete physical, cognitive, and mental activities. When we eat well, our body obtains all the protein, vitamins, and minerals we need, improving both our overall health and our brain function. Healthy eating means eating a variety of high-nutrient foods such as vegetables, fruits, legumes, meats, milk, products, and whole grains. Drinking water is also important. Foods and drinks that are high in salt, sugar, or caffeine should be limited for the person with a brain injury. They should also avoid taking any drugs, substances, or medications that have not been prescribed to them and avoid or limit alcohol. Rehabilitation schedules, cognitive struggles, fatigue, and other effects of brain injury can make planning out a nutritious diet difficult for someone with a brain injury. A supply of healthy frozen foods are always a great idea to have a nutritious meal that doesn't take much time to prepare. On today's podcast, we call Frozen Favors, brain injury survivors have questions about how to freeze certain things. They ask the questions and we supply the answers on this episode of Frozen Favors on Time to Talk Traumatic Brain Injury. Okay, we are back at the Blue Sheet Clubhouse and looking at the importance of a nutritious diet and learning how to freeze food properly. We have one of our guests, Eric, here, a member of the Blue Sheet Clubhouse. And Eric, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
That's great. You put the microphone a little bit closer to your mouth. That'd be fantastic. Okay, so Eric, tell me the importance, first of all, for you as a brain injury survivor in keeping a nutritious diet and also the importance of freezing food properly.
Nutritious diet. Well, I've learned from crashing a lot that energy levels are really important. And in addition to having adequate sleep, I need to have adequate nutrition. And people with brain injuries, generally the average person, their brain is about 2% of their body's weight. And as an organ, it uses 20% of their energy. And for people who have brain injuries, our brains, in order just to function on the day-to-day level that regular people do, instead of using 20% of our body's energy, use anywhere between 40 and 60%, wow. Right? Which is why people with brain injury feel depleted and sometimes think that they're lazy because they don't have enough energy to do the things that they need to do. So sleep is a huge factor, and then also having enough energy in terms of what you're eating is a big factor.
What are some things you actually suggest to keep your diet a good nutrition and give yourself some energy? You're looking at what kind of products are you looking at eating?
Well, for me, one of the, I have different parts of my brain that got injured, and one of them is the sense of time. So what I need to do is have really strict meal times for myself so that I definitely have breakfast between this particular number of hours in the morning, and I have my lunch sometime between noon and 2 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And then I have dinner sometime between 6:30 and 7:30, and I have a snack at tea time around.
You're sensitive towards time with your meals.
Well, because otherwise I, in the past, could just go a whole day without eating.
How would you feel then?
Depleted and tired, and I'd want to crawl into bed and go to sleep.
Okay, so give me a basic schedule now of your eating. So, what time would you have breakfast, or what would you have, and what time do you eat the basic 3 meals of the day?
Ideally, if everything is going well, it's more than 3 meals.
Oh, wow.
And so I would get up in the morning and I would have my breakfast sometime before 7. And it would be oatmeal, and I would have seeds and nuts with that.
Very good.
And berries. So I grab my bowl, I put maybe some walnuts or some almonds or mixed group of nuts in my bowl. Then I get maybe some sunflower seeds and some pumpkin seeds, and I put them in. I microwave them for 2 minutes to toast them a bit, stir them up with my hands, and microwave them for another minute. Then they're going. Then I add frozen cranberries and frozen blueberries.
Wow, so quite a variety of things there.
Yeah, because I'm starting the day, right?
Okay, yes.
So I put that in the microwave, and I microwave that for 2.5 minutes so that all of the berries and everything are mush, like cooked. They're not frozen anymore. And then I add a packet of high protein instant oatmeal. And I boil a kettle of water, and I make a pot of black tea, and I put the water in my bowl with my oatmeal, and I stir it. I set the timer for 5 minutes for the tea, and that's probably enough time for the oatmeal as well. And then I eat that, and sometime during the meal, I have my morning vitamins.
Okay.
And then I have my tea and that kind of thing, and that's all good. And it's a lot to eat, and I force myself to finish it. And then if I can't, for whatever reason, because sometimes that happens, I just cover it with saran wrap, and I put it in the fridge, and then I'll have it for a snack around 10 a.m.
That's a good way to start the day, isn't it?
Yeah.
And Eddie, what do you do for lunch, for example? Look at Eddie for lunch. What are some of the things that you do for lunch, Eddie, for good nutrition? And do you freeze anything?
Well, I have been making a habit of buying frozen meals. So they're already all the things that you might need in a meal. But they're all
Nutritionally,
frozen.
okay.
Yeah, they're all frozen together. And so it's an inexpensive way of getting a quick meal in you.
And again, it's convenient, isn't it, to have something frozen and do that? And are things that you'd like to learn how to freeze things properly? We'll go through that at the end of the podcast today about how to freeze things properly. What are some things that you would like to learn to make sure you're freezing things properly?
I freeze my berries and stuff so that they don't go bad.
Okay, yeah, that's it, obviously. And what about poultry and bread? Do you freeze that as well?
Oh, yes. I have lots of like sandwich meats and stuff that
you freeze,
frozen, yeah.
okay. And again, too, you were saying earlier that it stays for a long time as well.
Yeah, it should.
Okay, it stays. And how about you, Pat? What do you like to freeze?
Everything.
Now, why do you freeze stuff? For easy access or for nutrition? What is your reason to freeze stuff as a survivor?
Just to be good.
To be a good eater, and also to have things available to you in the freezer.
Yeah.
And do you have any products that you would want to learn how to freeze properly, or you're pretty good at? Do you freeze your poultry and freeze your meats and freeze your dairy?
Everything.
Okay, we'll give some tips at the end of that podcast today. Thanks, Pat. I appreciate it. We as head injury survivors not only need to be aware of all the benefits of freezing food, preservation, easy access, nutritional content, just to name a few, but it's also important to know a little of the science behind freezing food. The purpose of freezing food is to eliminate all activity of microorganisms or bacteria in the food without significantly altering its nutritional content, and thus its spoilage. In addition, freezing significantly reduces chemical and enzymatic activity, such as oxidation of the food. The group at the Blue Sheet Clubhouse also asked if they could freeze bread and baked goods. Well, you can freeze both. Breads and baked goods freeze perfectly when they are tightly wrapped. Instead of whole bread loaves, I keep a bag of sliced bread in the freezer so I can pull out 1 or 2 pieces as I need them. Pop them right in the toaster and they will toast up perfectly. Cakes, cookies, and baked goods will freeze best without icing, glazes, or chocolate coating, which can get sticky when thawed. Buttercream is an exception. It freezes wonderfully well. You can also freeze pie and tart dough and most cookie doughs. Some people like to form balls of cookie dough, freeze them, then bake up a few when the cookie urge strikes. And dairy products. You can also freeze dairy products, including milk, cream cheese, sour cream, and yogurt. There's one caveat: they may lose their emulsification and turn slightly grainy or lumpy when thawed, but you can smooth them out with a blender. That's true of milk and cream too, or use them, lumps and all, in baking or cooking. Now that it's the summertime, the group was asking if we could freeze fruit. The good news is that you can freeze for any fruit and it will keep its flavor. The bad news is that most fruit, other than cranberries, will completely lose their texture, turning soggy and soft when they thaw. But frozen fruit is perfectly fine for smoothies and for cooking. If you're freezing fresh fruit and you don't want the pieces to clump together, lay them out on a plate or pan, separated so they don't touch, and freeze until solid. Then you can slide them into a freezer bag for longer storage. Bananas freeze very well and can be thawed and made into banana bread, or blended while still frozen into a creamy sorbet or into smoothies. Peel them before freezing and freeze whole or in slices. For citrus, it's best to squeeze out the juice and freeze that, rather than the whole fruit. Grated citrus zest covered in a little of the juice also freezes well, though it will never be as flavorful as freshly grated. As for cooked fruit, it freezes very well, whether you're chilling poached pears or applesauce. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, Frozen Favors. Yes, Frozen Favors, given to you by the Blue Sheet Clubhouse. All the tips that you need to know for freezing fruit properly. And remember, the most important thing is to make sure you're eating nutritious meals, good food, and not that much at a time. You want to savor the delicious food you're enjoying and eat well and stay healthy. Until next time, we look forward to talking to you then. Bye-bye for now.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are solely those of the Time to Talk TBI panel and other contributors. These views and opinions do not necessarily represent those of the Cridge Center for the Family Brain Injury Services staff. We value your feedback and comments. Please send us an email, or if you have any questions about brain injury, email us at tbipodcasts@cridge.org.